Okay, let's try this again. I was recording and suddenly this woman started yelling over some dogs because she was concerned, but then she drove away. Um, so, the last video that I made, I had talked about how God had led me to this house and He had led me to not take my dog out for the bathroom. And my first initial instinct was that's going to cause a problem. Why would I do that? I was obedient because His ways are not our ways. So this started on Monday. I started getting texts from the owner that there were complaints about a smelly dog. Now, the only person that was complaining about a smelly dog was the cleaner. I was out in the living room on Monday morning, and there was another woman there. She was a younger woman. She has a child. She was talking about the smell that was coming from the room next door to hers. And they were asking me what room I was in. And when I first got there, the woman gave me the wrong room number. She told me it was room 9. It turned out to be room 8. And then there was confusion about the lock, and there was confusion about, just different things that she should have had it all taken care of for me so that I wouldn't have much of a problem. I don't understand why these people decide that they've got to walk right next to my truck. I mean, really. Okay. So, I did as God led me. I didn't clean. I well, not that I didn't clean. I didn't take him out, but I did clean. And so, of course, here come the complaints. It's smelly, but they kept complaining about a smelly dog. Not that it smelled like poo. Now, if you've ever smelled dog poo, it is very distinct. You can tell when it's a dog that smells and when there's poop everywhere. And so I started to pray. I'm like, Father, why are you telling me to do it like this? Why can't I take him outside and have prevented all this? And that's when, it started to feel like the scripture where he doesn't come to cause peace or to create, he comes to create division. He comes to create chaos because he wants the spirits that are within the people that he is trying to reach to become riled and to become, either one of two things is going to happen. Either the person is going to get down on their knees and they're going to pray to God, or they're going to walk away completely. And so everywhere I've been sent, God has been using it as a dual thing. I have stayed at 5 different Airbnbs. Of those 5 different Airbnbs, only 2 have complained about a smelly dog. Now, if you remember the condo, they complained about a smelly dog, and God had led me to use bleach to clean it up. Now, the cleaning service came in and did their cleaning. So it's, remember, it's not us that people are responding to. They're responding to the God in us. And so, and everything that happened was very godlike. Okay, so I started getting complaints on Monday, or let's see, this is now Thursday. So Monday. Complaints continued on Tuesday. On Wednesday, the third day, because me and the owner had been going back and forth. I said, I'm washing my dog. I'm actually, God's like, don't wash the dog, because it's not the dog that's smelling. It's their spirits. And they don't even know what it is that they can't stand. He goes, even if you didn't have a dog, they would have still complained about you. And I was like, why? And he goes, because they don't like the attention that you're bringing to the spirits that are within them. Because of me. Because of God. And I was like, which I didn't understand. I was still like, but why would you do this? I mean, I thought it was over. I thought I was done with these problems. I thought that I was going to get your blessings. I thought, and I'm telling him, I'm nervous and I'm worried. And he goes, what are you worried about? That they're going to tell me to leave? And? Do you not know what's waiting for you in your car? Yeah, I do. It's getting cooler now. The mornings are in the 50s. The afternoons are still hot, but it's not as hot as it was in the summer, where it was triple digits. It's getting up to like 95, 94. So it's not as hot as it used to be. And he goes, are you scared of going back out there? No. Then what are you scared about? I'm scared about not doing what you want me to do. And he goes, then just keep doing what I'm telling you to do. I was like, okay. So Wednesday, the woman came up with an idea of moving me to a different place, a different home that she runs. And, even though she's through Airbnb, I really don't think she should be, because she's using these homes not like an Airbnb. She's using them like a boarding house, which is not an Airbnb. Yes, sharing a common space, but not with 11 people. You've got 11 people living under the same roof. That's a lot of cars. That's a lot of traffic. The people in the neighborhood don't like the way that she's running the Airbnb. They've had Airbnb investigated because of the way that she's running these homes. And at first I didn't understand, because she has all these restrictions. You're not allowed to make noise after 9 o'clock. You're not allowed to cook or shower or do anything after 9 o'clock. After 9 o'clock, it's basically go to your room and stay in there. But don't make any noise until 8 o'clock the next morning. And then you're allowed to make noise. And I was like, this doesn't feel like an Airbnb. This doesn't feel like I have freedom. This feels like I'm under house arrest. Like I'm some sort of delinquent that can't be trusted to keep my space clean, to keep my, and in the morning, this woman sits, the cleaning lady, she sits in a chair watching everything and everyone And then she'll start throwing around pots and pans. I could hear her on Wednesday morning. She was tossing around pots and pans. And I knew why. She was mad because the owner hadn't kicked me out. And that's what she wanted. She wanted the owner to kick me out. Because on Monday, the first day that the situation started, because granted, I had been there a day and a half and everything was fine. There wasn't anyone around when I came home, when I came back to the room. So on Monday, when this girl is telling me about the smell and coming from this one man's room, the woman says, no, it's not coming from that man's room. It's coming from her room. And so they started asking me, well, what room number are you in? I'm like, I'm in room 8. They're like, oh, yep, it's you. So the woman drags me across around the corner, shows me the room that she has to work out of because it's her cleaning room. It's got all the cleaning supplies and it's got everything. And the entire time, God is telling me, don't defend yourself. Don't defend yourself. I'm like, okay. So if I'm not defending myself, I'm accepting that I'm guilty. And he goes, just don't say anything. Just tell them that you'll clean the room and you'll keep it clean. And I did. So on Tuesday, I get a message from the owner saying that people are still complaining. And I'm like, but nobody has said anything to me. Because, this woman, she was saying something in front of everyone. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't trying to, cause trouble. She was just trying to figure out what was going on. And she was asking me, like, did you smell that? I'm like, no, I didn't smell it, but okay. So then, on Tuesday, the owner says, I need to have my cleaning girl come in and clean your room. Do a deep cleaning. I'm like, okay, can we do it on Wednesday? Because I had to work on Tuesday, so I couldn't do it Tuesday. And she said, that's fine. It'll happen from 2 to 3. I'm like, okay. The cleaning woman, was like, I could hear her on the phone outside my door. And all of a sudden I get a knock. And so I open the door and she's like, I need to see your room. And I'm like, excuse me? And Father said, go ahead, let her see the room. I'm like, okay. And then she saw my dog that was I was between the doorway and my dog. And she goes, is that your dog? I'm like, yes. Oh, he's a big dog. I'm like, yes, he is a big dog. And she goes, let me see. And I was like, you're crossing the line. But God kept saying, let her. And I was like, there's my dog. She goes, oh, okay. And then I said, give me a second. I'm going to put him in the bathroom so that you can come in without having him all over the place. And she goes, okay. I grabbed the dog. I put him in the bathroom. I picked up his poopy pads because God said, don't let them see that the poopy pads are there. Pick them up. So I picked them up and I put them in the bathroom with him. And I, went back to the door. I let her in and she goes, why so much dirt? And I'm talking like this because she is Asian. And there's full circle, okay? Just bear with me, guys. And she was pointing at the floor and saying, why so much dirt? And I said, I'm sorry, my flip-flops pick up a lot of dirt from outside. And when I come in, I said, I cleaned yesterday. And she goes, this does not happen in one day. And I was like, what do you want me to tell you? I'm cleaning. And she looked around. She was wearing a mask. And I was like, this woman is so ridiculous. But I didn't say anything. I said, Father, forgive me if I'm being judgmental or I'm being sensitive about what she's doing. So next thing I know, you know, she's dragging me around the back of the house so that I can see where the mop is. Instead of taking me through the side door, oh no, she did take me through the side door, but she told me that I had to go around the back side of the house in order to get to the trash can. And I was just like, seriously, this is not okay. So by now, there has been a ruckus created in the house. People are starting to get on the bandwagon of complaining about the fact that it smells. Sorry, guys. I keep moving because I'm not very comfortable. And so she keeps talking to everybody about what's going on in my room and talking about smelly dog, smelly dog, smelly dog. And the words that she is using are very specific to her. So she then starts telling the owner that people are still complaining. People are still complaining. The next day, or on Tuesday, no, on Wednesday, yes, on Wednesday, she knocked on my door. Oh, so let me back up. So Tuesday, she made me clean in front of her. So I sprayed the floor with the bleach. I went and I grabbed the mop. I mopped the floor while she was supervising. She saw that there was no other mess, like there was no trash, there was nothing that she could say or point to that was causing the smell. But the only thing she could do was point at the dog. Well, then I had to go out. Oh, I went to take the trash out on Tuesday. I know, I'm going back and forth. And on Tuesday, one of the men that stayed at the same Airbnb in the big house with the pool was in that house. I saw his car, but I was like, seriously? No, it can't be. Oh yeah, it was the same man. And he was in one of the smaller rooms. And so he began giving information about the previous day. And I know this because on Wednesday, when she came back, so the owner had already told me that her cleaning service would come in from 2 to 3. She showed up at 3:06 on Wednesday. I didn't think she was going to show up because here it is Wednesday at 3:05, and you're not at my door. So then she knocks and walks away. And I was like, okay. And God says, go look for her. But first, put the Apollo in the bathroom. I'm like, okay. So I put him in the bathroom. I came back out. And then God said, when she asked about my dog, where he was, I said, oh, he's at the groomers. I'm going to go pick him up later today. They're going to call me when he's ready. And she just, oh, he's not here? I'm like, no, he hasn't been here. Oh. And she looked around and she's like, oh, okay. Because again, I had cleaned that morning, I had spent all morning cleaning the floor. I even stuffed puppy pads underneath the mirror for the glass doors that would have been the closet to ensure that no smell went into that room. And I asked her, did people still complain? Absent-mindedly. She goes, yeah. And I'm like, okay, do you need anything else? No, you're fine. You go. Okay. I went back into my room. And then I hear nothing from the owner until 9 o'clock on Tuesday night, saying that there was complaints again about my dog. But, before I forget. So when this woman is talking to me, she's asking me questions, things that I've never said anything to anyone except for the man named Lee who was staying at the other house. And whenever I give more information than I'm comfortable with, because I'm usually a very, very private person, I very much protect my privacy, my information, because I know people will be judgmental and they'll go as far as they can. And so I remember telling this man about living in California and my dog having a skin issue. She asked me, does your dog have a skin issue? I'm like, no. No, his hair's not falling off? No. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. You saw my dog. So now I knew that he was also feeding information because he didn't want me there. Because I saw things at the other house that could get him kicked out of this one. Which is, one, he had a gun and he was cleaning it in the backyard and I watched him do it. He's selling drugs, which is, he doesn't have a job, because in the entire time that I was staying at the other Airbnb, he never once went to work. He was always home, or he was always at the Airbnb. Granted, he complained about having car issues and all this other stuff, but when you're being searched for by the police because you're a drug dealer, you want to be as inconspicuous as possible. And he tries to be so much. So when he saw me, he began to make comments about my previous day. So the owner came up with an idea of moving me out of that house and moving me into a different house. And I was like, okay, this has been 3 days of the same situation. So on Thursday morning, I got up really early in the morning. I took all my things out. After I was moved out, I cleaned everything. Then I get a call at noon. Okay, they're supposed, the way that she has these rooms listed on Airbnb is that they are sanitized after every visit. If that is true, the situation that occurred next should not have happened. I get a text saying that the new person that just moved into the room that I was in complained about a smell. And I was like, really? And then she goes, I need you to provide receipts that you washed your dog. Excuse me? I was like, I'll call the groomer, but I know I didn't take the dog for a walk to go wash. Because God didn't let me to go take him to get washed. And even if I did, I didn't have the money for that. Well, okay. So she says, I'm going to move you to a new place. If these people complain, now I know it's your dog and you're going to be out. So she sends me to the new place. Then she tells me when I move into the new place, which is around noon, no, around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a text. The new person in your room, in the room that you, at the Anderson, it's said that the room smells. I was about to respond with, don't you clean the rooms and sanitize them after every use? And then I remember, and then God's like, no, don't defend yourself. Okay. The anxiety and the stress that I was feeling up until that point was because I started to get worried that maybe I did something wrong. But it's funny because, so it started on Monday, the 7th. No, the 8th, new beginnings. Tuesday was the 9th. Wednesday was the 10th. If you've been listening to Tara, she's been telling us that 10:10 is the end of God's mercy, the end of his double portion of mercy. This woman, the owner, I believe, is a faithful woman of God. But she is allowing an individual that is not of God to provide her, to be part of her counsel. And God has been trying to open her eyes to that this woman is not to be trusted. But because she doesn't live in town, she believes that this woman has her best interest at hand. Okay. So, around 4 o'clock, 4 or 5, I heard the cleaning woman's voice. And I was like, I recognize that voice. What is she doing here? It's way past her time to be working. She was talking to one of the ladies in the living room. And the lady was agreeing with her about something. I didn't know what was going on. God said, stay in your room. There's no reason. Okay, before I get to that part, I need to say, so the new room that I went into was number 8, which we know to be New Beginnings. The code to my room was 2818. Double portion. 818. Deuteronomy 818. But there is another scripture that God brought me to about his sons, about his children. When God says sons, he doesn't mean just the men. He's talking about all of his children. And it made me realize that I still am walking with God. And by allowing him to use me this way, he is giving opportunities to those individuals who are lukewarm to change, to come back to him. In those 3 days, he was giving this woman the opportunity to listen to him. And this is why she moved me. Instead of telling me, okay, I'm going to end your stay now, which she did threaten me with that. And God says, don't worry about it. She's not going to kick you out right now. So, she then sends me to this other place on the 12th. And then God tells me, do all of your laundry. Okay. So I grabbed all my clothes. I went into the washer. I washed, or into the laundry room. I washed my clothes. And then he goes, okay. And he says, you need to pack. I was like, but I thought I was going to. He goes, you need to pack. I'm like, okay. And sure enough, this woman was at the house at 5 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, I got a message from Airbnb saying that my stay had been shortened. When I went to take my things to the car to load up my car for the day on Thursday morning, the door, there's a sliding door that was across from my room. I found that door open. And I was like, wow. It wasn't the other. Nobody even knew I was there except for 2 men in the morning. None of them saw that I had a dog because God told me, get him into the room, close the door, don't let anybody see him. I'm like, okay. No one knew he was there. People only knew I was there was because of the lock not being on the door. But no one was there. No one saw me. Just 2 men. 2 men who had left for work. So it wasn't like they could tell anyone that I had arrived. And I was listening to everyone who was arriving in the afternoon around the time that this woman showed up, before she showed up. They were all laughing and giggling. Not once did I hear somebody say, whoa, do you smell that? As I was putting my things into the room, God brought my attention to some books on a bookshelf. And he goes, look, there were 2 copies of the King James Bible. And I was like, oh, so the owner is a believer, believes in you. But she doesn't trust in you. You know, Tara did mention at the end of Double Mercy